K goes to FM 101.3 AM 1610 and Part 15 Radio, Hobby Radio. This is Larry Anderson, and we are live all over the internet. That's the WWW. WWW, you know what that means? Stands for World Wide Web. That's right, we're on. And you're listening, and as I can see some of the people out there listening all over the world. Hey, this goes out to Bobby, and Bobby just loves Chris Years, and he's one of my artists. I take a lot of local artists. We play their music. They love it. I love it. You get to hear it. Oh, here it is, Chris Years. Enjoy. I am. It's great. I love broadcast. I love radio. And when I was a kid, I would carry this little radio with me, hidden in my pocket, and I will go to school and listen to the DJs at AM station KGY Olympia 1240 back in the day. And I loved all the jocks. They were great guys. And I would listen to this, and my teacher came up and saw that and pulled that earplug out of my ear. In those days, they had earplugs, not whatever. And, kind of hit me. He was mad at me. And so what I said to myself, man, I was a little upset. Of course, I had dyslexic and I had problems learning. So there were other avenues I was thinking about, Hollywood, radio, at that age. And I would go down to the local radio station and bug them for a job. And wait a minute. Before that, let me back up there a little bit. I was always pretending I was a DJ jock. And even at my home, a 2-story house on the west side of Olympia, I would open my window, call my buddies down to the house on the lawn, and this 2-story house, open the window, put the speakers outside, spin the records, act like I'm the DJ, and they're playing good music. And then after I'd be throwing like 45s out, LPs out, my buddies would catch them and stuff. And it was so much fun just to do that, pretend that, hey, and they were digging it. I've always wanted to be in radio. I was a little boy watching TV one time, and this Elvis had come on TV, and Elvis from Hawaii. Everyone's watching it. And I'll tell you, this gorgeous man came out there on stage and sang, and it was Elvis Presley. And I'm telling you, it changed my life. I told my father that I want to be just like that guy someday, and I will be. And he says, yeah, I kind of smirked, and you better finish school first. Well, whatever, I always got that, or cut your hair. But anyway, and through the years, I started doing Elvis in the later years from that time. And first show was in 79. I kept doing it on and off, my bands and stuff. And then I got a little more serious about it. Then Elvis died, of course, and then I started doing a couple more shows, and then it became more popular. And then in and out of different shows, I was doing voices and other things. And he had the popularity of Elvis impersonators come along. There were like five of them doing it. And then I came along with my show. Again, the show got better and better. I got older, better bands, bigger shows, concerts, fairgrounds. It just kept coming. And I found out, hey, we have something here. And it felt natural to do the voice. And then something happened. Something really happened. And when I would be doing a show, and I wouldn't remember the show. I wasn't there. And the band would say, hey, man, it's over with. We're done. I would say, well, what's the next song? I said, no, man, you just did an hour and a half. I go, well, where'd I go? And it started happening over and over. And then things changed. And what changed was Elvis was taken over. And the shows got so good. And they were just incredible. I had all the costumes, cost me a lot of money, but they had to be the best of the best. Well, it all came to an end one day. 911 hit. We were supposed to go to Hawaii and, go to Australia and Japan. And, of course, that was over with. Everybody's dropping shows. I was making phone calls. Well, we don't know if you're going to be able to do the concert because no one's doing anything or it's freezing up. And it was just a disaster. And then I had open heart surgery. I had a heart attack. And and that really took the wind out of my sail. I didn't feel right, I stopped, and the calling wasn't there anymore. It was when he called, it's time to do a show, and I'm telling you, those shows were huge, and it was the best time of my life. I'm so happy to have that, and I've done that, and it was the best. Thank you, Elvis. I worked for General Motors, and we were private contractors to, well, of course, NASA, Hughes, and Boeing, and several others. And I got to work the space side, and we worked on several different programs. And I was awarded the Snoopy Award, which is the high civilian type of award for working on the space program, Iron Space. Started years ago. The award itself was given to me by astronaut Carl Meade, and great guy, and Colonel Beebe and a couple other guys, and some other folks got the award along with me. But I'll tell you, I love space, and it's made a difference in my life. And that's where I got involved with, well, the UFO thing and radio and the UFO and that type of subject. That kind of led into some other things. And all my life, I've always known that they're out there, and I've always been a researcher of UFOs for many, many years. Been to a couple conventions, and it's been pretty interesting. FM 101.3 AM 1610, Part 15 radio. Well, we started in an old school bus, and that's where I said, oh, man, I live here. Why don't I have my own radio station on a school bus in a small town, way up deep in the desert. Yeah, here is an old school bus, pirate, mind you, and starting to get some fame of people. Hey, I got a radio station on a school bus. Really? Wow, pirate station. No one would tell you how to do a radio station legally. And it's like, we don't talk about that. And it was low power, very low power, 10 watts. And then we had to be in compliance to the FCC, which now it's very, very low. It's Part 15, low. But the station's only for Good Springs, and that's what I had this station on mine for. And how much fun was it? I did a lot of research, had to do the paperwork and do buy the equipment. Very expensive. I did it myself. We're out of the school bus now, and we're into another building, and that I built for the town, the AM and FM station, and it is a real radio station, and they're loving every bit of it, and I'm having fun.
Broadcasting live from deep in the desert of Nevada, K-Ghost Radio presents UFOTalkRadio.com with your host, Lary Glen Anderson, Glen Lary.
Oh, I am back, and I'm excited. This is the Glen Lary Show. Oh, yes. How fun can it be? UFOs, let's talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, yes. UFO. Oh, yes, the Glen Lary Show. I started that, I'd say about a year ago, less than a year ago. You see, I've always been the UFOs. I've always been into the paranormal, the witches and the ghosts and all that. And I've read all this stuff, and I've heard radio shows about that. And of course, the number one guy was Art Bell. And I really liked that voice. He was a great influence on me, not only for that radio, but for ham. And I shared some things with him. Nice guy. Art was a different person. Art had a lot going on. That was a talent. And to be able to, to do the voice and have the voice in me is an honor. And it really makes this show, because I believe it brings back a lot in this era of radio. So the Glen Lary is not Art Bell, but it's Glen Lary, and with some of the influence that I got from Art. Gosh, it feels good. I love it. It really makes the essence of that show, especially with the callers. I've had some really wacky calls, and which are fun to listen to. And I'll tell you, the one that really kind of freaked me out a little bit was the one of many, was the 911 caller. And he said that that the Glen Lary Show is on a list. And I go, okay.
Hello, caller, and welcome to the show. And your name and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Bob.
Hi, Bob. Nice to have you on tonight. You have a story, I hope. Gosh, I'd love to hear it.
I work for a emergency dispatch. I work 911. I answer 911 calls.
Wow.
About 12 of us who are 911, and we can see the city everywhere that we look.
Mm-hmm.
That there was some kind of red light. I mean, it was 2:00 in the morning when I was working.
Right.
And and we all thought, okay, well, they're putting on a fireworks, or kids are shooting off fireworks, but it wasn't. And of course, once that happened, our switchboard just lit up. The next day, that there was, they said that they were quote unquote office assistants who came in, but they were wearing dark suits, and that they wouldn't say who they were with, and so everyone was like, well, okay, these might be FBI people,
right?
Yeah. But no, what they did is that they insisted on taking all of the tapes.
Oh, really?
Of the 911 calls, yeah. That if we ever talked about it, that we're easily fired.
Oh, gosh.
No, that's not the worst part of it. And then that they basically took each one of us aside, all 12 of us aside. They don't want us listening to you. There's a number of radio shows and people in the media that they tell us that we are not to talk to, and that's how I got on your show.
I'm glad.
How I found out is because your name was on that list, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
Yeah. So we are absolutely forbidden from calling you.
Wow.
And I guess of the UFO one where the guy calls up and he says that his wife and them were driving, apparently the car through somewhere, and his wife just disappeared out of the car.
Now let's get to the story again, sir. You were driving your car at night.
Yes, sir.
And whereabouts was this again? One more time.
About 20, 30 miles outside of Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay. And
anyway, then like I told you, the car just kind of died. We went to a stop, and then this bright light appeared all over us, and the car started to shake. And that's the last thing I remember until morning, and my wife wasn't there.
Oh, my gosh.
I got out. I looked around. There were no footprints. There was no nothing. It was a dirt road. It was dusty. There would have been something. I went to the police. Right after that, the car started. Of course, that morning when I drove on into town, I went to the police, and it turned into a nightmare. It was like a 5-year investigation on me as to whether or not I had actually harmed my wife or what I had done to her. They accused me over and over again, and nobody believed my story. And, it didn't change. They kept hauling me in and hauling me in. At one point, they were about ready to press charges on me for murder, but somehow they didn't.
Oh,
and
my
this went on for about 5 years after that.
I do feel for you.
Poof, gone. And this UFO light flew around, and we are getting some great calls, and that makes the Glen Lary Show a little bit different than other shows. We're having fun.
We're about wrapping it up now. This is K-Ghost Radio, the Glen Lary Show. Once again, thank you so very much for listening on every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock to midnight. No, midnight is our recap. I'm sorry. So it is Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock to 9, and we're about out of time. Again, I didn't take a station break for a reason, because I want to have some fun, you guys, tonight. Again, thank you so very much. We'll see you next week. Tune in. God bless, be well, and be safe.
You know what they're doing?
What?
It's alien tourism.
Ah, interesting.